Looking at 8th and 9th zones with densely packed endgames, vertical shockwaves make high ground and mid ground layers crumble, and give patient trios and surviving solos a way to counter long tarps and bases towering above them. Facing off against 3 players usually proves fatal though, as you are vulnerable throughout your whole flight and easily targeted by the trio you're trying to attack. Turbo building walls on the way up from your shockwave can work against this though, but gives your newfound height poor foundation, easily shot out and focused from below. Panicking with shockwaves in your own box and misusing them is always an irreversible mistake during the game, giving you poor positioning split away from your trio, costing you building resources, or ultimately you and your teammates their entire health and shield pool and potential mishaps in certain situations. When going for height, separately boxing up before using the shockwaves and going for height then allows you to have power in numbers as 3 players get a vertical rotation together, overwhelming the competition. Discovering new positioning and shockwave throwing angles and targets within your box might keep your trio and teammates closer together when using one shockwave to rotate, saving crucial mats and attracting less attention during your mid-game rotations. You also save your total shockwave count by doing this, allowing for more opportunities to challenge high ground, grief low ground in the endgame, or rotate in mid-game. Countermeasures can be taken too, such as keeping a teammate higher than normal, multiple layers above you, as in the event of a vertical shockwave, you still have someone up high who can rain down and support your trio on a retake. Keeping your own shockwaves handy is a way to counter anyone taking height off of you as well. But if both trios play mind games and the circle gets smaller, and smaller, the more likely a chance there is for a messy, repeat shockwave circus happening all at the same time. Player after player gets sent flying in the sky, with teammates all getting sent around in and out of the storm, off their tarp layers, and splits costing your trio more mats and resources than normal. Identifying these mistakes, staying in your lane, and watching teams move is a good way to anticipate and prevent disaster from striking before it happens. Although an item overlooked as simple mobility at first, the potential and efficiency of using shockwave grenades as a trio separates the good players from the great, and practicing, reviewing, and watching how plays are set up before they happen is a good way to keep in the loop, improve on mistakes, and get better retakes on height when using one of the most versatile items in the game. Keep your team's position in mind while breaking, jumping, and blasting into the air until you get it just right, and who knows, maybe you can have that top play or amazing clutch that saves your team while competing in the FNCS.
What's up, Fortnite fam? So first of all, sorry about that. We had a little bit of issues on our side with the European matches flushing, but there's been a ton of Fortnite action going on this morning anyway, with Middle East wrapping up their first and second heat. So we have the final results, and we're gonna hop into some of the action. And also, I just wanna say, my predictions for Middle East are looking pretty good. I know Z kind of hinted at it, but you can check out on the FN Competitive Twitter and also on the YouTube some of our prediction and our preview piece we were able to go through, and we talked about what some of our predictions, particularly in the Middle East and European region, are. So make sure you get up to date on that, get what our thoughts and opinions are. But we're going to be hopping into Heat 2 match 1 of the Middle East region in just a second here. And honestly, I'm excited. It's going to be the first time seeing Middle East in outside of the open tournament format and seeing the top teams really go at it. And honestly, looking at the heats afterward, there are a lot of big changes now up on the board here. You can see there were some differences in the predictions. One, I will say, I was the one who predicted Flame, Prime, and Hunter up there, so swap Zeke and I's names, but otherwise, Klops, Hero Kappa, and Fiesel were the favorites going through. They performed pretty well. You will be seeing them in the Middle East Grand Final tomorrow. However, Flame, Prime, and Hunter were also able to have a positive day in their heat and advance through. So predictions so far are holding steady, and it's going to be exciting once we get in. There is a different style of play, different types of gameplay from all over the regions, but enough from me. I've talked enough. Let's throw it on over to Lupo and Monster as they take you into Middle East Heat 2, Match 1.
Sundown, thank you very much. Just a quick note to those at home. Occasionally we run into issues on the cast. Do your best to not get too worked up about it. You know, there's a lot of things at play here, so you have to imagine a 10-minute break is an insanely short amount of time to recover and get back into the games. As you can see here on your screen, Heat 2, Game 1 of the Middle East region just starting off. Tilted Town, a number of teams dropping down the bottom. And down here, pressure in the bottom and the pump shotgun. An early blue pump shotgun in Tilted Down, as you can see, is honestly one of the most powerful weapons you can get. It just hits so hard for so many up-close fights, too.
Such a clean shot. And that's one of the perks of landing in Tilted Town. You know you're going to get a blue... You know you're leaving a blue pump, you're leaving with shockwaves, you're guaranteed heals. Like, guaranteed minimal.
Exactly.
Not only that, you're probably going to get yourself some launch pads as well. So this is the place to be, especially if you want to guarantee your loadout. And
yeah, that's
you
tough.
stick around just to get back
tough.
to the lobby. Not much you can do there. You catch one pick, maybe you get a point for your leaderboard, basically, but...
Even then,
his battle to lose.
You have to hope it's like a solo, otherwise, you know, they're just going to get picked back up almost immediately. It's a tough spot to be in. But yeah, you're saying early game in Tilted has such a refined loot pool. The trade-off of not being able to build, or in some people's mindsets, not having to build, because you know that you can just focus on gun skill and accuracy, is such a big factor in building up an early loot. Just the early loot game is it's huge here. Like
It's actually
I said,
crazy,
heals like
too.
crazy. Everybody's going to come out stacked with a good set of materials, in fact, just because you can pick up all that stuff out of the chest and off of every elimination. If you do get challenged here, it's arguably one of the better spots to drop right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, imagine a game where one of these guys bring that double barrel out of Tilted Town, because there are some rules in play where the double barrel shotgun only spawns in Tilted, but you can even take the weapons out of the place as well. And
Third time's a charm. There we go.
I was
Finally made
going
it
to
up
say,
top.
he's having a little bit of a struggle there, trying to get up and over. He's
You got
going
to track down that space bar. It runs away sometimes. Unless they're playing on controller, I guess. My apologies. Controller gang, love you.
If anything, Controller Gang has the best movement we've seen so far. These guys can go 360 on the...
Clearly, you don't watch my
running and
stream,
all that.
Monster. I appreciate it, though. Yeah.
But all right, now we're looking at Happy Hamlet here. A little bit of a standoff. Moon, Minzu, and Kinji here have that high ground. There's 3 teams here.
The prediction from 4 of the 5 of us, one of the players, Klops, going down in the feet up top there. You hate to see that.
And if I had to guess, I actually did a ME, a Middle Eastern VOD review. They land towards Junction, so they must have had some kind of problems over at Haunted Hills, but we'll talk about that in just a bit here as Kenji uses a valuable shockwave to try and take the high ground here, and he is going to get chipped just a little bit. And such a nice pinch going on right here. And this is one of our newer competitive regions, so, you know, a little bit of catch-up, right, to catch up to the rest of the competitive scene, per se.
I wouldn't even say that, honestly, because some of these players are so good, Monster. I mean, we've even watched each other grow very quickly playing the game just from watching these competitive experiences. You have opportunities like this. Look at that. The Kiji immediately flicks up, gets the knock-on info, is trying to shockwave from, over the top. But you have to understand, these players in the Middle East region have been asking for their own region for quite a long time, so you know they've been watching the competitive experience between all these other regions. That kind of learning has to have happened big time.
That was a filthy little ramp edit right there to catch AZ2M. And yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on, is that they were held back for so long because of the ping differences, right?
Yep.
But now having their own region, a lot of it has, a lot of these players have found a little bit of remedy in that factor as well. So good for them. We see new faces come up and have their moment. Pretty much catch a little highlight here today.
KG picking up the revive right there on Minzu. Knock from the middle of that fight. A valiant trade, though. Honestly, if your team only suffers a single knockdown, you pick up those 3 eliminations, I'd say that's 100% worth it. Those bubble shields in rotation out. Team moving up on top of the hill.
And not
lucky landing.
He was actually hit with a little headshot right there, ripped apart all of his shield. Now forced only down to bandages, and this is a battle that they have to take on their heels here. And I like what they're doing. They're backing up as a squad, trying to use this time to also gather some mats in the process. This team is not letting up. You have the NL squad right here, Nella, Easy, and Saya Zine right here. Or Saya's Ren, excuse me. And they're coming in with the push. They're still fully shielded up for the most part.
Now we got the ultimate high ground right now. Gonna have to fight out one player all the way at the top. Shots coming from the third party right there. Looks like a teammate trying to knock down that build as they're pushing up. Sai, ultimate high ground, looking down from above. Little explode from underneath. Gonna have to build against that. Waiting for the peak shot. Look at the timing on that. Very last second before getting to the pyramid. Gets a ton of big shots. Look at the last one. There it is. Finds the knock on Izzy. They have the advantage at this point. Picks up that elimination up to 125 total HP. Nella gets knocked. Wild Gamer picking up that elimination. And an RPG in there is going to be huge. Tack shotgun shots back-to-back, finds the third one, and that is a solid 3 eliminations for Sai, Wild Gamer making it up for the loss of silence down there in the bottom left corner.
Fighting on the heels right there, and they turn that battle around. Very well done. Not Sai, I've actually had the pleasure with, I'm pretty sure, talking as I've, browsed around the Middle Eastern region. So good to see him pulling up and performing here, as they now are pretty much clear, and they have the zone. They're in the clear. They have the zone. They can get this revive off. So Silence is going to be able to come back in the game as he gets hit up on the reboot van.
Huge value. That being said, the inventory of Sai has 2 green tactical shotguns in there, some bandages, an AR, and that TAC SMG. Lucky landing, looking like it is calm at this point. A lot of builds, but no competition left down here as this trio is going to be able to pick back up, potentially finish looting up down here, farm any materials they can get out of it. They're in the safe zone. Circle still has 38 seconds before it closes, so they're not feeling too much pressure in any way right now. We'll have to see where the next circle goes. This is a good opportunity for them to build up a good buffer, materials, healing, any leftover loot that might be down here, and make their way onto the next safe zone without much issue. Meanwhile, Suber, Sammy, and Dream pushing from outside of the storm.
Yep.
The far east drop here in the desert.
Such a weird place to play as well. The moisty palms where you can't just crouch freely. You have to be very cautious. A lot of the competitive players opting to unbind the crouch just in case. You don't want to make any mistakes there. And honestly, if you do that, you're kind of in the advantage, right? You set yourself up for success, so you don't make any mistakes in PvP. I know myself, I tend to crouch in fights all the time. You don't really realize it till it happens, but
it's a tough break when it does happen, I'll say. Looks like an attempted shockwave to avoid a fight there, but Saber does get the pick there. A knockdown is rotating into the storm. Trying to get to safe.
It's going to be a nice little knock there. He's going to replenish his health up. There is a player outside of the storm line. It's going to be his teammate, Will, who's waiting nearby. And you can see over at the other kind of crater there to the left where you can farm up all the stone. That's probably where the rest of that guy's duo is.
Most likely.
Trio, I should say here. But someone does see the rotation. They're pushing on in. We have a trio coming in.
I say now's the time. You have people just coming in from the storm. You think you're in the better position. Pushing is basically a no-brainer. You see here, gonna have to fight to stay in.
You heard the shots outside the storm wave. You figured you might as well push out. These guys are going to come out with a little bit of health tick. Anything to have that advantage there.
Dropping back.
All right, Sammy, Will, and Suber here says, you know what? This is not the battle we want to take. The third party, it actually isn't a third party. They're just pressuring with explodes here. So they want to back up. They want to reset a little bit here.
I don't blame them. You basically started that fight not as a full trio. Sammy was still outside in the storm, and so rotating back away and saying, nah, this is not the fight to take. We're not exactly in the best spot. Plus, if you think about it, they did force that team, the team that applied pressure from inside the safe zone, to burn through some traps. There's some zap traps in the wall, so you've gotten rid of those, cleared those out of the inventory, which is great for later in the game. Ultimately, kind of a win-win. Set of eliminations here.
This is a nice little look right here. You can see those teams that are on the west and north side of the map forced to fight their way down now. Quite a rotation here as the zone seems to be pushing all the way south. So the later you move, the more congested this rotation will be, the harder it will be for you later in the games. You really want to get down there early, especially when a zone favors one side pretty heavily. See competitive players try to rotate nice and early. I'm
looking for Nazir to hit a snipe shot here. He keeps pulling that heavy sniper out and taking a look. Hasn't gone for it yet. I would say position-wise, not the best call. You draw a lot of attention to yourself as you are further outside towards the edge of what is currently safe. So people are probably going to look back and try and stronghold you. But could you imagine Nazir hitting just a crazy snipe right there on the rotation in? They suddenly have advantage, a trio versus only 2 left up. They could push through, pick up 3 elims, all the materials, and make their way in the safe zone.
And this is actually very interesting right here. FHD actually opened this battle up with a heavy snipe. They catch the knock, but they don't even collapse to kind of seal the deal. They say, you know what, instead, we're going to focus more on the zone here. They're going to get ahead. So they use that little bit of distraction, downtime, and chaos to get ahead of the zone here. It's probably still going to convert if they can get to the zone first and then turn the battle back around.
Depends on how fast the storm is moving on this edge. They are closer to the short side, so it's moving slower. But yeah, you have a chance maybe for a pickup there, but I think, like you're saying, in that moment they say, yeah, we got the knock, we could push for it, but placement at this point probably more important. You're looking at 26 trios remaining. You don't get the placement points until top 15, and even then, it's only 3. So right now, pushing into the storm, getting to safe, very, very important. You want to try and make it to that top 15 as early as possible. Get to a safe spot so you can sit and wait.
You saw a little bit of a storm surge warning there as we're approaching zone 3. You have to be cautious when there's over 70 players to the zone 3 ratio. Storm surge will start to tick. So there's only 1 trio probably affected right now. This trio here is completely safe, 105 damage above. But anything can happen. They can get pushed by the wrong ones. The other team can jump into a fight. So
at this point, only 1 player needs to go down too, and we might actually find it. There it is. What a snipe. FHD looking back to the east over there. A quick little flick, a 157 body shot. They're going to try and apply pressure. The teammate up top trying to secure, maybe get a chance for revive. Stinks.
They actually used a lot of resource just to try and keep that player safe right there. He chucked back the zap trap and the stink. So using all, if not most, of their throwables right there just to hold the power squad down here in the factory area. And this is the second time now they've caught a knock, and they haven't quite, sieged the moment. Very patient. Will it bite them in the butt later on, though?
Honestly, I think that's the smartest play, because you see right now, all 3 of those players up on the hill are stacked up next to each other, and they may have seen, because you had people that were rotating in, I believe that's southeast of the little factory area they're in right now. So they get the knock, yeah, but you're down below. Your only option basically is to try and take shots on the structure and get the knockdown player exposed and immediately eliminate. If you don't get that player's crawling back and using line of sight on the hill. Plus you have other people that they're going to see that and a chance for third party. I would rather see these players do exactly what they're doing right now and sit inside the build, do all the wall replaces, and wait just a minute, because what might happen, and you see on your minimap, that almost is the call there, that trio, the one that they got the knock on, there's a team further outside. They're going to get pressure from the back. They have a chance to sandwich. That might be eliminations that they can pick up later rather than applying pressure and maybe getting third party themselves.
I almost also want to say, though, that's the same team as Dunn got sniped twice by FHD, so he's a magnet for the heavy sniper. Got to be careful, buddy.
Little rivalry
tuck
building up
the
there.
Head down. You got to duck. Careful on the peaks here, but NM7. Teams are collapsing everywhere. Minute left.
Oh,
and he catches another one right in the tail. Aziz TV is going to go down, and this time they are not safe. He says it's time to battle. They want to push this through with less than a minute on the rotation here. In comes the stinkers. The heavy snipe cracks open the wall, and there is a team nearby. They can hear the shots. They're looking over if you look at your map, but they're going for safety instead. It's a long rotation.
Around. You see that those 2 trios in the southeast side, they're rotating around trying to get in the safe zone. Meanwhile, these two teams that have literally fought each other time and time again now are finally applying pressure. NM7 with a build-up, trying to get the high ground. Not going to be able to do it just yet. Going to wait just a moment. Doesn't want to get pushed too far in on that trio without his teammates at his back. One elimination currently, but if the pressure is good and gets a better position, might be able to convert that into another 3. We'll see here in a second. Shots from inside the safe zone. They're going to have to. They're just at the edge, and there are so many teams so close together. 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe 5 trios within probably 50 meters of each other right there.
And Aziz and his trio is actually really lucky. Aziz was traded out, but that duo, what was left of the trio, managed to squeak away here. Heavy snipe returns. He hits another one. FHD is on fire right now with the shot. So you can see here, this team is scary with a double heavy sniper. They're loaded up right now. Here comes a focus fire.
A trio focus fire is big, but FHD pays the price. Another team up behind. This is what I was saying. 5 trios in one, like basically 150-meter circle is so tough because as soon as you start spraying on one, everyone's going to look at you and say, you're exposed right now and you're not looking at me. It might be the time to take a shot. Imagine if instead of AR spray, that was a heavy snipe. That could have been an immediate knock, and then suddenly the tables are turned on this team for power.
That's right, but it's okay. Power has plenty of heals to spare here. You saw he did manage to pop 2 big pots right there, so the squad kind of hooking him up. They still have 6 chug splashes. They have, slurps for the road. They're very, very set up right now.
With how close together they are to other teams, I'm surprised they're not using. They have 11 chug splashes. Use even just one of those just to top off one player and get your last one to only 5 HP missing, because if you're in a bad spot and you start getting beamed, you're going to want every single HP that you can get. Oh, the double snipe, double heavy. Here we go. Looking for it. Finds the first one. Beams and not side goes down. Straight into the launch pad to rotate into the circle. This trio's playing very, very well.
Notsai should have known better than to sit still in a 1-by-1. That is one of the risks you take, especially in trios. There's way too many eyes focused on the field here. There's no way you can sit still in a box. That's the price you pay right there. FHD, Janssen, NM7 doing a fantastic job right now holding the server down. Really, they're dictating the pace right here with all pressure, all fire coming in. This is the most active trio we've seen so far in the server.
The east side of the map basically belongs to them thus far. There is that team. You saw them look up above on top of the hill looking down. You got to be very careful on the angles. Would not be surprised if there's a chance shots come down from the top. NM7 getting shot. Team from MES over there. Looking back, one tap just past them. You look very top middle of your screen. That's the team I was talking about. They're all the way up top. They have a zip. They have height advantage. The little window peak on the brick wall that's edited right there, just out of screen now. You also down in Happy Hamlet have Minzu, Moon, and Kinji. The ultimate high ground down here. Number of teams underneath.
This is actually a fantastic loadout as well. 6 shockwaves, 2 shield bubbles. They're set up so pretty up here. Nice little headshot right there from Kinji's gonna put some hurting on that team right there. They do have a heavy snipe to crack open the build as well. Stink, someone tries to take that high ground. He's gonna eat a couple of bullets for the sandwich right there as Sultan goes down by Kinji. Nice reaction speed right there. That shockwave play was not the one to do.
A valiant effort, but did land right in the middle of a trio, all kid of the teeth. Kinji has that shield bubble out. Looking to potentially make a rotation soon. We'll have to see here. I almost want to see one of these players toss it straight up, knock it down onto their own head, and make a move with it at the same time.
So he puts the bubble down so that their pad doesn't get taken out. So he says he's gonna set that up for the safety measure right there, and just like that, they are able to skate away and get to the next safe zone here. Nice long rotation, perfect launch pad. Not a single one of their teammate was affected or shot on that rotation right there. So that was a very clean pad away.
See, power still solid right there. Toggle, Eska.
Another player from one tap's going to get taken out right there as Toggle's chucking in all of the grenades right here. Flexi goes down. Iki gets taken out right there, and he catches another knock. That's a triple knock with the grenades right here. He's just letting them go.
But grenades are pretty good, especially when you have so many players stacked together. You have your teammates spray down the walls where you're tossing those things.
And just look at the map. They're all in the same spot, so naturally you're going to hit someone.
We're about to get into placement points here. Just before we cut, we have 16. There you go, 16 trios remaining. As soon as we get to top 15, everybody picks up a set of points, 34 players total. which means a lot of these trios are no longer trios. You have quite a few single or duo players left at this point as the feed's still lighting up. Players are now forced to the northwest side.
Oh, I see. It looks like they're setting up a shockwave, right? Are they trying to set up the perfect shockwave kind of play here, angling the structures?
Craftsmanship is key, just as a reminder.
No, it's important to set it up properly so that everyone can get on out, but it looks like there's no time left.
No time.
They're just going to have to go ahead and throw it down. It's going to be a very scuffed shockwave here. But
honestly, that's not bad.
Off. Yeah.
Sigil with a big move there, landed literally in a set of builds already, and there's edits set up. He now has a bubble shield to protect. He can look back and try and help his teammates if he needs to, or make a move here. He's going to try and build up to his duo.
And Eska does get taken out there, so Toggle is going to get in a little bit of a 1v1 right here. Someone with a box battle is trying to look for that replace wall. You have to wait for it. Nice shot. Noor's going to eat the big pump to the face right there. He's going to put him right down. There was nothing he can do. He kind of asked for it.
Literally just waiting. Just waiting for the edit. You know it's going to happen. Just wait for the edit. It's boxed in. Going to have to try and get ahead of this storm. Down to 13 HP. Traps down. He does have the splashes, but it is not enough. That trio goes down, looks like in 13th place. 12 trios remaining as the rest of the field shockwaves, tarps, and launch pads towards the next safe zone.
And now we're looking at the end game, Zone 7 here. You have your teams already situated up in the high ground. Shockwaves are already flying all around you here. Power, NM7, we're jumping back in. We saw land some ridiculous snipes earlier today. He does still have that heavy sniper. Someone is going to sneak up behind him, but they have a nice little pinch right there. Great white shot right there. Doc Lupo, he catches Anatomy with a quick cleanup and quick reaction speed right there. It's actually two that fall down to them. And they're still a full trio.
Big hit. Quick little splash. Put another 20 across the board. All three teammates sharing that heal.
Great
Excellent
job.
call. These rotations in. Trying to get these quick edits and try and tarp while your teammates are still with you.
He's out of mats.
And healing. That's big. Yeah, no mats left. NM7 is empty now. They're going to have to trade off who's doing what on the team. Still making moves, though. Bubble shield there. Plus, the zone is right at their back. Player dropping in, same floor behind, rotating out in the storm, trying to stay safe, but can't quite find it. Back into the safe zone here as NM7's looking back. This is a great opportunity. If he had held that for maybe 2 or 3 more seconds, he might have had another shot on the player that did get the knockdown underneath. Big movement into the safe zone is key here, but he's only sitting on 3 builds. He's got 3 metal builds remaining, 9 points, and there's 6 trios left to trap behind, just in case somebody tries to drop down in, but does get broken. Player underneath. It is basically chaos at this point.
And then Sarah is the absolute slayer so far. Oh, but he is going to get chipped down right there as Minzu takes him out. We've been following Minzu, Yonks, and FHD for all these players for so long now. This is looking like the toe-to-toe right here. Minzu on YouTube. Boxfighter, Moon, and Kinji all have the high ground right here. They have stinkers. They have splodes. They're set up for success right now. Here comes a quick edit. Minzu's trying to get this peek right here. Is he going to be able to connect? No, the shockwave pushes him out. In comes the firing. He doesn't have time to push all the way through. It's going down. Somehow, they close out by staying alive just long enough. The shots, the trades, FHD and Yonks were holding it down, actually trading the shots. The shockwave was perfect.
Minzu's trio went from the only full team left to both players knocked and Minzu in the storm because of a single shockwave so fast. I think nobody on that team saw that coming. Absolutely ridiculous. Last couple seconds there. Now, just to take a look back and really give us some details. We got Shy Wager out in the studio. What do you got, Shy?
Heck yeah, these guys had the power, they brought the force and cleaned out the game even at the worst circumstance possible. Even throughout the game, we saw double heavy snipes. We saw so many cool utilizing mechanics being used across internationally, which is huge because, you know, Lupo and Monster had a conversation. Are these guys caught up? Do they have enough time? Is everything, you know, in place for this region to be at the top spot next to EU, NA, right? We have this breakdown of a little bit of separation in the middle. We have NA West, EU, Brazil, as well as NA East, and they're all in that big top 8 region. But we have these top 4s. The first time seeing ME on the board, these games actually broadcasted as well. We can see people now becoming stars, right? We could have the next insane, calmer, clutch individual mongrel, but, you know, international across the season, a different time zone, playing his own type of metagame, his own type of strats being dropped down from height, going upwards, downwards, everywhere around the entire server. So it's really cool seeing how a new region develops and exactly where they actually place themselves in the timeline of exactly how their skills are, how their build fighting metagame is, what they try to do on height afterwards. A pattern we saw in the first EU games where, hey, if MMB have height, everyone below them, no shields at all. Every tag, it's a headshot from a Scar. It's an easy 72 white damage tag that usually gets them that elim at the end. Middle East, same way. We're going to break it down in just a second, but there's an entire type of shifted metagame where it's kind of those early Season 3, Season 4 tendencies combined with the knowledge you have at the end. You have everything on your board, you have your inventory, you know exactly what your teammates have, the comms are nice, everything's on the plate, ready to go, ready to get feasted on. So Middle East right now for me is just, is really nice. We're gonna be going into a clip actually of an early game, I believe, Happy Hamlet game. We're gonna dive in with Kinzel, I believe. We'll see how he plays out. Actually, no, this is a power clip. There we go. Kinji up in Happy Hamlet. It's going to be really dope to see him actually cut out Forest team on height. We talk about the metagame, right? When Shockwaves first got introduced, it was a straight pump or combat shot upwards. It took people time to get used to that AR spray. He has it in his inventory already. These guys are caught up, they know. Ramp edits, practicing creative, right? Very ingenuitive, a lot of ingenuity there, as well as wall replacing for protection. It's not raw gameplay, it's actually curated practice, and they're brand new to the actual international scene, which is amazing. You know, baiting your teammates out for HP, going for finishes. Even support players like Moon know exactly what to do. Now, the star trio that won that previous game, Power FHD, knowing how to use and take angles properly, has traps in front of him, doesn't matter. Knows to stay for those right-hand peaks, knows when to engage, low HP, still does not matter. No pressure taken because these guys have practiced. This is not their first rundown, but it is their first showdown of exactly what they can do, right? No Mats here, has the elims, low health, still knows exactly when to look up, what to loot, when to use your utility, and when to support your teammate and still have a presence in the game, which is once again something players learned a lot later. So these guys are caught up with the metagame. They do know how to finish off. They know their exact win conditions as well and when to drop them through. Amazing gameplay. We're going to now tune in and see what else they can do on the Middle East. I'm going to be piking it up with my man Zeke coming in. We're both going to hit that cast. We're going to see exactly how these guys go down. We'll relive that breakdown actually together live. Zeke, what did you think about their presence compared to the rest of the international regions?
Man, I think we still have quite a bit more to see from this region. I think you did an amazing breakdown there. I think the ceiling for ME is still very high. We haven't quite seen what they're fully capable of, but I think over the weekend, we'll definitely see it. I'm also excited that we get to finally hang out, Shy Wager and Zeke. Chic. We have come together. That was great. Actually, that is a true thing of the game. But anyway, the games are ready. Let's hop right in, Fortnite fam. We're jumping out the battle bus. We're going to begin this game. I can't wait to see what happens here in this game. Because remember, these happened over this morning. Earlier on, while everyone wants to sleep, including myself, I slept like a baby. It's kind of, not entirely true. But anyway, we're getting into it. We can see now where people are trying to land early. So, I mean, you know, you've got the Pleasant there. You've got a team of Junk. The old Villain Factory. You've got some at Snobby. Some flying even over Greasy. There's still quite a bit of teams, though, still that are airborne.
Yeah, see, one thing you mentioned earlier, Zeke, was the whole idea of these games happened this morning, right? For me, chewing gum, you leave it on the table untouched, still good to eat later in the day. There's so much flavor in these games we have yet to see. No, seriously, man. Like, once again, we're tuning with Power. Hey, look at this pattern, right? I kind of, you know, went to the FHD/Mongrel comparison. These guys are in retail. Mongrel's in retail. You know, we had Monster, Lupo, saying these guys have been waiting for a long time, right? There's so many VODs they've been watching. They have the knowledge, man. They have the power.
Yeah, and now look, they land over here on the, what do we like to call this? The top side is blacktop. So
residential.
This is residential.
Yeah,
there we go. I literally came up with it as you were saying it. What's wrong with me today? But they are on the residential side, which is good. I personally, and this just might be like my thinking, but I feel like the loot's a little better on residential side than blacktops. Would you agree? Or do you think it's the other way around?
I think that there's more there's sparser loot on the blacktop side. We're looking at Tilted right now, but I'm going to keep talking about what we saw in retail. There is sparser loot on the blacktop side, but like residential does have, I think, more drop spots on the floor loot. But, you know, we got those bendings on blacktops, and you have more of a horizontal advantage on everyone you see.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to kind of, you know, pick a game plan on blacktops. With residential, you kind of have to all in all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you do get engaged on, like, once again, you're all in, right? We see it in OCE, X2 Twins. They always end up having a fight, some type of highlight. It's really cool. Right now, though, you know, Lupa and Monster went over Tilted Town, the advantages, disadvantages of building and not building. What are your how do you think player opinion has been of Tilted Town from the beginning to the end of how people treat the job?
I think originally people were maybe a little taken off guard by the fact that you could not build in Tilted Town. It was like, wait, but the whole thing is that you have to build and whatnot. And it's like, well, yeah, that's still a very big aspect of the game. But now there is a POI dedicated to you testing your shooting skills, right? How good are your angles and your peaks? How good are your rifling skills or even your close quarter combat skills? And that's what Tilted offers in its current state. But we're back on board with the power trio, the trio of power. They have themselves a brute. They are looking to take it to this other brute across the way, Shy. Now, what's crazy here is, remember, they have these laser designators. So the other brute's fully aware. They're like, hey, there's another one. They're moving toward us. We need to try and take this down. But power's on 18 effective HP. And it's just not enough. It's so easy to be focused down in the brute right now. So unfortunately, FHE is going to go down. And I don't think there's anything else the other duo can do about this, right? They just kind of have to let him go down and regroup and assess the situation. NM7 does have the sniper, so if he can get a cheeky shot off, he can down someone immediately. But, like, look, the other brute spawned like, no, friend. We're going to hunt you down. Don't worry. Don't get too far.
No, absolutely. Like, brute combat is one thing that also has its own metagame, and like these guys know too, right? Focus the driver 100%. Usually the people you put into the brute early game are those who don't have the same amount of loot. We're looking at a pump TAC SMG gold sniper on NM7, but FHD, all you have were zapper traps, a bunch of gray items, very easily focusable. And right now, you know, their enemy team is big and hard focused. I'm pretty sure it's the ASMR guys, Spy and Wagner. These guys are just coming in with a big brute of their own, forcing through straight up, gaining all the loot as well. One big thing about having a brute in retail, it's like butter on toast. Perfect combination, even jam on toast, anything but mayo. You get these loot spawners so much faster with the stomp mechanic as well as the rockets. Granted that they were nerfed at one point, you still have so much damage to instantly just get these launches over and over again. The biggest downside to retail being you spend so much time in there, right? You negate that, you have the perfect setup. Entirely in the whole game.
Yeah, and then you can kind of take that brute into later game and use that to kind of mess with other trios out there. I like this too. The ASMR trio, ASMR, they're quiet. They are in the brute right now. They are destroying base spawner. Shy, what is the loot pool looking like if you sat there and retail and destroyed all the loot spawners?
I personally think that a lot of launch pads, a lot of campfires, and a lot of AR.
Amount of snipes last game. Now, many of them they couldn't follow up on just based on where they were, but look at this.